In the 400 plus hours of Bellwright I've played up to this point, I've made a lot of mistakes. But I've learned a lot of cool tips that would have helped me a lot when I first started playing this game. So in this video, I'm going to go over 8 mistakes everybody makes in Bellwright. Mistake number 1 is choosing the wrong starting location. When you arrive in the lowlands, the leader of Herondine asks you to start a new settlement. What a lot of new players don't realize is where you place that first village matters way more than it seems. The further south you go, the more dangerous the game becomes. You really want to start near essential early game resources like wood, river reeds, mud, or metals. The regions between Herondine, Padstow, and Bradford are some of the best starting areas because all of the resources you need are nearby. If you're looking for a real challenge, you can go west of Herondine or Padstow, but that's where players start running into problems. For my most recent run, I built my village between Padstow and Bradford, which has become one of my favorite starting locations now. You've got river reeds, you have mud, you have tin, you got fishing vendors nearby, but there are also a lot of enemy patrols in the area. If you're new and decide to start here, make sure to disable hold ground on all of your villagers. Otherwise, they'll try and fight the patrols, and losing villagers this early is a brutal mistake. Later on, you can build a new village or even build a new settlement entirely, but I would probably wait to do that until tier 2 at the earliest. If you're not a veteran of the game, I would not recommend starting any further south than Padstow or Bradford. The resources down there aren't that usable early on, the bandits are tougher, you start running into Brigands, and honestly, it's just not worth it. The next mistake a lot of players make is recruiting the wrong villagers and getting them killed. Villagers in Bellwright are the backbone of your entire settlement. They do almost all the work that you either can't do or shouldn't be doing yourself. Because of that, who you recruit early on matters a lot more than how many villagers you have. Some special villagers can be hired through quests like Libration, but the majority of your villagers will come from NPC villages across the lowlands. The higher your reputation is with these villages, the higher skilled villagers you'll be able to recruit. One common mistake is ignoring reputation early, when building this trust is actually what unlocks really good villagers later. Until then, you'll probably still need some help, so hiring beggars or low-skilled villagers is fine, as long as you understand the downside. You can check the map, click on any village, and it'll show all of the hireable villagers based on reputation. I would say in this early game, the most important skills you're looking for are strength, harvesting, and crafting. Strength will let your villagers use better weapons and armor, harvesting will cover woodcutters and foragers, and crafting is just needed to make armor, weapons, and tools. Once you do find a villager you like, click on them in the village tab and they'll be marked with a purple waypoint, so you don't have to play hide and seek and find them. Now, recruiting villagers will cost some renown, which you can earn from quests, fighting human enemies, or clearing bandit camps. But here's the part a lot of players miss. Many early villagers can't level their skills past 3 or 4. If you later decide you want better villagers, you can expel all of the lower ones and get 100% of your renown back. Just keep in mind that the more villagers you recruit, the more renown it's going to cost to hire new ones. Now, not all these villagers have traits, but when they do, these traits can affect morale, crafting speed, combat damage, and many other things. In my opinion, the best traits to look for are Prodigy, Optimist, Gourmand, Neurotic, and Porter, whereas the worst traits I'd probably avoid are Dullard, Slacker, Weakling, and Pessimist. Many of these traits are situational, like Neurotic is great for workers but not ideal for combatants, Marksman is good for ranged units, Resilience is good for melee. Just make sure you look at their traits before recruiting them. Lastly, if you are not careful, your villagers can die in this game. After a villager is downed in combat, villagers will gain injuries that last for a set amount of time. And after that first injury, there is an increased chance of death if they're downed again in that time. If you have a villager that keeps getting injured, turn off hold ground in the character menu so they stop getting into unnecessary fights. Mistake number 3 is not utilizing fast travel correctly. To get around the world efficiently, you're going to need fast travel signs, which can be researched at the research desk. These signs cost a bit of renown and resources to build, but once they're placed, they let you travel freely between them as long as you aren't in combat. Placing these outside of NPC villages, your own villages, or other convenient locations will save you a lot more time than almost anything else in this game. Fast travel signs let you move yourself and animals back and forth whenever you want. However, if you want to move villagers the same way, you're going to need a river dock. Right now, a river dock only needs to be placed on a body of water, even a lake works, but you need to get to tier 2 first. And this is one of the main reasons why building near water or waterways is so important. Massive bonus tip. This works especially well with river docks, but it applies to any building. If you want to move a building to an area where you don't have resources or villagers, go over to that area first, open up your map, and find the building that you want to move on the map. Middle mouse click, and then place it wherever you want. The villagers who built the original building will dismantle it, and the resources will teleport to the new location. This is incredibly useful for late game buildings, Build them in your main outpost where all your resources are, and then just move them after. Mistake number 4 is being unprepared for raids and liberations. To give you a quick rundown, raids are events where bandits will spawn at the closest camp near your outpost, march towards your village, and attempt to steal your resources. If you successfully beat a raid, the raid level will go up, making the next raid a little bit harder. Now, if you fail the raid, they will take some of your resources and the raid level will drop. The higher level this goes, the longer it'll take for the next raid to form. So this won't be something you're dealing with like every day or every other day. Raids aren't nearly as rough as liberations or reclamation parties though, which only start after you liberate your first village. Liberating villages is pretty useful and one of the main goals of the game. The mistake is starting liberation without being properly geared and ready. Once you reach Protector in a village, the leader will give you a quest to build and ring a bell tower. Ringing the bell makes all of the brigands in the area hostile and summons a liberation party that will attempt to retake the village. Your goal is to defeat the brigands in town and defend against the reclamation party on its way. For your first liberation, try and have around a dozen villagers with tier 1 armor, maces, and maybe some plank shields, because if the brigands reclaim the village, they'll mess with any buildings that you've built there and you'll have to take it back again. For every village you liberate, brigand hostility increases, meaning they'll send more and tougher brigands in future fights. I would say the bonuses are worth it though. Liberated villages allow for cheaper trading through caravan stations, they let you invest in village buildings, and expand what those villages can buy and sell already. You can also adjust the liberation and raid difficulties in the options menu if you want to make fights easier or even harder. Mistake number 5 is ignoring caravans and markets. If you want to buy and sell resources with surrounding villages, you need a caravan station. These caravan stations require a carrier and a cart to operate, but they're extremely useful because they let you trade resources you may be missing due to location or season. Trading early with villages like Herondine or Padstow can keep progression moving and bringing in a steady flow of coin for you. Automated caravans can also be useful, but I personally didn't find it that taxing to just manually send caravans. If you click on a village, drag what you want to buy and sell, and handle it day by day. If you played with the old delivery system where you traded directly with towns, this will probably feel more natural for you. When you send a caravan, they will physically travel to the village and back, which means there's always some risk. You can reduce the risk by sending guards or by gearing your carriers well enough to defend themselves. If you stack caravans with geared carriers, they'll usually protect themselves just fine. Unless you're sending caravans into hostile territory, you can often get away without guards. Markets work pretty similar, but instead of sending caravans, the caravans will come to you. This lowers the risk and keeps the surrounding area a bit safer. It also means more caravan traders passing through that you can manually buy and sell with. The biggest mistake with markets is the automated pricing though. If you're not careful, it's an easy way to spend thousands of coins on expensive items like bronze or any metals. Always double check prices when setting up your buy and sell orders, especially the high value resources. Else you might wake up with a couple stacks of bronze and 9,000 gold gone like me. Mistake number 6 is overcomplicating outposts, and we'll also talk about some of the best outpost ideas. Outposts are meant to be small, simple bases that usually serve one or two purposes: gathering wood, mining, collecting swamp resources, or getting anything that's not available near your main village. Functionally, they also work like any other base and they can still be raided by bandits, but they aren't meant to be fully built out like your first or your second village. For example, if you want a mining outpost, all you really need is a food source, a couple houses, the mine post building, storage, and a workbench to repair tools. From there, you can kind of just leave them alone and they'll gather the resources until it's depleted. When that happens, you can either fast travel and collect the resources yourself, or set up a caravan station to pick them up for you. I would say the best outpost ideas would include wood or hardwood outposts, mining outposts for metal like copper, tin, or iron, and it's not a metal, but even granite is really good. One of my favorite outposts that I make every run is in the swamp. Swamps have a ton of valuable resources for foragers and mud collectors, including peat, mud, cranberries, river reeds, moss, fish, and wood. I always build a swamp outpost, and I recommend you do the same. You may just need to clear the nearby bandit camps first so it's not too dangerous for them. Mistake number 7 is not gearing and upgrading villagers fast enough. Early on when you start making armor, you're most likely going to be manually choosing what your villagers wear. Once you reach tier 2 though, you can unlock the staging grounds, which functionally acts as a rally point where you can edit gear presets and call villagers to prepare for battle. When you command a squad to rally at a staging grounds, villagers will automatically grab food, armor, weapons, bags, and then line up at the flag based on their preset. This saves a massive amounts of micromanagement. You can also duplicate and edit presets using the priority system, which helps villagers choose what they want to equip. Squads also play a big role here. Squads let you choose villagers or companions and control them separately by squad, which you can freely add and remove people from in the setting mode, or simply by dragging them from one squad to another. Skill books in the library are also a main way you're going to be leveling your villager skills efficiently. Bandits drop books, booksellers sell them, and some quests reward them. But essentially, these will let you level your skills without really doing the task itself. You can also read a book on your own character, but handing them to villagers is where they really shine. Once you reach tier 2, you'll unlock the library where you can store books and then set priorities so villagers will automatically read them when idle. One important thing to know though, XP from books only applies when the timer finishes. If a villager dies or gets injured while reading, the book is lost permanently. Because of that, the best time to read is usually after a raid or reclamation party. Books also stack extremely well with food buffs. If a book is about to finish and you have apples, fish stew, cloudberries, or cranberry jam, stack those buffs first and you'll get significantly more XP when the book completes. And last but not least, mistake number 8 is taking villagers to every fight instead of learning to solo. Once you finally understand how the game works, it's time to become a big dog and start learning to solo camps, raids, and reclamation parties, which is useful to keep your villagers working without consuming all of your food, spending a lot of shipwrights, and losing out on a lot of work lost from calling them to a squad. You can solo groups with melee weapons, but in my opinion, it's a lot easier and lower risk to use a bow. To practice this, all you're gonna need is a bow, some arrows, a few potions, and travel signs so you can move around quickly. Most camps and parties you're gonna fight are made up of a mix of ranged and melee enemies. The goal is to drag them down the roads, keep your distance, take a shot, and keep moving. For those that play MMOs and RPGs, you're basically kiting them. Two behaviors to note of though. If a brigand gets too close, they'll start sprinting at you. If you don't hit any of the enemies that are attacking you for about 10 seconds, they'll leash and run back to their original location. Both these behaviors work well when soloing, especially if you want to separate melee enemies from ranged ones. Dodging archers isn't too hard, but crossbow bolts will travel much faster. Later on, you're going to need a lot more distance when fighting crossbow users. Start by practicing on low-level bandit camps before trying to solo brigands, and figure out what works best for you. If you do want to fight melee, there are a few useful tricks. First, you can start charging an attack by holding a swing, then releasing it when the enemy starts their swing and hit them when their guard is down. You can also do the opposite and wait for the enemy to swing first, and then attack right in between before they can raise their guard again. Lastly, if an enemy swings in one direction and you swing in the same direction right before impact, you can deflect and riposte the enemy's attack. Inversely, once your villagers are capable of handling themselves in bigger groups, you can open the map and right-click on a bandit camp, and the squad that you have will walk over there and clear out the bandits themselves. Be sure to pay that Queen's tax of 1 like or 1 sub, and leave a comment on the biggest mistake you've made in Bellwright thus far. If you would like to see an updated, completed run of Bellwright, I'll leave a link to the playlist in episode 1 on the screen here. But I hope you found some useful information from this video. And until next time, y'all, thanks for watching, and take care.